Привет, меня зовут Саша Асташко, и я сейчас нахожусь в городе с привычным и приятным слуху названием Кацтаун. В этом городе находится то ли хрустальная, то ли кристаллическая пещера. Будем называть ее пещера Кристаллов. Идемте, я вам все покажу. Сначала я хотел сказать, что мы приехали вот на этой тележке, но потом подумал, что никто в жизни не поверит, что мы вдвоем с моим другом Сережей поместились вот в эту крохотную коробчонку. Это во-первых, а во-вторых, потому что лошадь гипсовая. Даже сувенирный магазин, он, в общем-то, ориентирован тут на природу. По крайней мере, тут продаются всякие ископаемые аммониты, настоящие головы аллигаторов. Смотрите, какой симпатичный. Змеи запаянные в эпоксидку. То же самое со скорпионами и с пауками. Копии индейских тотемов уменьшенные. Стереокартинки с изображениями животных. Ну и, естественно, всякие камни. Куда без них. Орловий нож. Не спрашивайте меня, что это значит. Драконий нож. И, наверное, самая удобная штука — это ножик с рукояткой из челюсти койота. Наверное, очень удобно. Ну и главное, что продается в сувенирном магазине, это, естественно, живоды. Аметисты от самых недорогих до тех, что явно подороже. Очень умиляют такие вот вещи. Табличка сообщает, что вот эти ставни были повешены на здание в 1874. Потом они были убраны в 20-х, в поздних 20-х, помещены в хранилище и забыты на 70 лет. Их случайно нашли в 97-м. Вот какие серьезные ставни на этом отеле, который тоже оказывается исторический. Тишина прямо-таки звенящая. Это тоже чисто туристический аттракцион. Вы можете купить песок, подойти сюда в специальную воду, взять вот этот вот лоточек и попытаться намыть себе золото. Вот сейчас мы покажем, как это делается. Золотая лихорадка есть здесь?
Да.
Лихорадка есть, а золото? О. Ну, примерно вот так вот люди и делали состояние. Вход в пещеру почему-то находится под лестницей, под горой. Вот я, честно говоря, представлял себе пещеры как такие сложные дырки в земле. Вот, куда надо спускаться. Оказывается, нет. В эту пещеру надо сначала подниматься. Вот к тому коричневому зданию. Я так понимаю, что вход там. Столбы в этой местности решено не ставить. Ну, в принципе, логично. А зачем? Все фонари прикручены прямо к соснам. Сосны так и растут с лампочками. Вот этот маленький домик, это вход в пещеру. Вот это неприземистое каменное здание, это выход. Внутри мы еще не были. Зато вокруг растут большие-большие красивые деревья. Пошли. Сначала нам будут показывать кино. Кино, как эта пещера была открыта. А вот мы проходим через дверь и куда-то заходим.
You have to be a little lopsided. That thing has to weigh 20 pounds. All right, a few rules before we go in the cave. Anything in your mouth? Get rid of it. Your choice. You can swallow. No gum or candy, basically.
Low sugar.
No problem. I'm about to explain that. Everybody's an adult. That's great. Drinks. You're supposed to be an adult. Is that better?
Yeah, you're supposed to be an adult. That answers it.
Yeah, where's my troublemakers? Yeah. That's right, yeah. Any drinks, water's okay. Nothing sugary or colored. If you have it, just keep it closed till we're done. Water, like I said, all you want. Hold on to the railings, touch nothing but the railings. And I'll show you why in the next room. Photography. I'm sorry, no photography in the cave. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All the photography you want. Flash, I don't care. We have a lot of time, so we're good. It's not too humid today, so your lens shouldn't fog up, especially when we come out. So you should be good. Should be good. All right. These two vents you see in the ceiling were not put in here for ventilation. They were mainly put in here for a colony of North American brown bats. At one time we had 50 or 60 bats living in the cave, and I'll show you where they used to live. Unfortunately, somewhere around 2006, they started developing a disease called white nose syndrome. It was a fungus that affected their ability to sleep. So they would stay awake all year long, flying around trying to find insects. Well, there's no insects in the wintertime. They actually starved to death. Millions of bats died off on the East Coast of the United States. They are making a comeback. There is none in the cave at this present time. Every once in a while somebody says, oh, I saw a bat. No. I've been in here going on 600 times in the last 3 years. There's no bats in this cave. However, down where you bought your tickets, the right-hand part of the building, the stone part is the original farmhouse. Right now there's 60 to 70 bats living in the attic. So they are back. Bats are good. Bats love mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. To me, bats are ugly, but they like to eat mosquitoes. A bat can eat roughly 5,000 mosquitoes every night. I'll put up with the bats any day of the week.
When the bats were starving, why didn't you feed them?
You two are going to be trouble.
Okay.
I can.
I'm letting them go.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Yeah, that's right. You came with them, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you're
No
part of that.
association. I'm just a
Well, you brought them, didn't you?
I had no choice. Keep it.
I can't imagine letting them die just because they were hungry.
I would never let a bat die because they're hungry for mosquitoes. Believe me. I hate getting bit by a mosquito. All right. You ready to go in?
Yes.
Let's go in. I knew they were trouble. I knew those three were trouble.
Career killer.
I hate that.
I mean, they're hungry. I mean, that's pretty because the pet store.
Yeah, but they're food for something else.
I'm sure they could have gotten something.
Before you walk it.
Unfortunately, they wrecked enough putting the stairways in and the lights and stuff.
Can we touch anything?
No!
Let's ignore her.
I knew that was one of those three. There is actually one place in the cave that you may touch.
Okay. Skip that one.
I'm telling you, last tour I had 4 of you, and they were the same way. But it makes it much more fun. All right, of course, the cave was discovered in 1871 by the 2 farmers right there at the entrance. Where we came down the steps, they were dynamiting for limestone. Farmers take their limestone, grind it up, and put it on their fields in the springtime. Ever go by a farm field in the springtime and you see it's all white? That is lime. For some reason, all this limestone, when you grind it up, it turns white. They saw the opening, made it bigger, came back a few days later with a rope, a ladder, and some lanterns, and started exploring the cave. This is the first formation they talked about right here. This formation is known as a dripstone because it drips from the ceiling to the floor.
Вы понимаете, что я сейчас не могу говорить, потому что говорю гид, и это просто невежливо. Поэтому я просто буду показывать. Если вы понимаете по-английски, то слушайте отголоски того, что говорит гид.
I love it. I love it. I really do. All right, this is our. This formation is roughly 50,000 years old. Grows about as much as a Hershey Kiss, every 300 to 500 years, depending on how much rain we have. This is our upside down ice cream cone. Somebody dropped their sugar cone on the floor, and all the ice cream is melting around it. That's a bummer. All that good wasted ice cream. Different formations, same minerals. This formation is known as a flowstone. Here the water and minerals flow down the side of the cave wall and slowly build up. This formation is roughly 150,000 years old. Grows much slower than the dripstone. Now right here, this is the reason we tell everybody not to touch any of the formations in the cave. Late 1871 when they first started doing tours. Now you have to remember, 1871, right now we're standing in about a foot of mud. There's no railings. There's no steps. There's no lights. Everybody figured, we're dead. We're not coming out of here alive. So they had everybody rub here for good luck. It was good luck for the people. Just remember that. It was not good luck for the formation. Everybody has oil on their skin. It mixes with the calcium in the minerals and eats away at the minerals. This will never recover. Come back 1,000 years from now, it's going to look just like this, or probably even worse. Another stupid thing they used to do. Certainly. You can break off a piece of stalactite, take it home as a souvenir. Isn't that nice?
Like. Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's what it looks like.
Come on. They're icicles. They'll grow back in a couple days like icicles normally do. The good part is these will grow back in roughly 15,000 years. And for some reason, one right there survived. We don't know why. Back then, they were mostly older adults. I say they didn't want to bend over that far. I don't know. I have no idea why that one survived. Now, several places throughout the tour, you're going to see these nice little red lights. These red lights are called wish lights, because if you don't duck, you're going to wish you did. Now, you look at this rock right here. That's almost as sharp as a knife.
See that? Yep.
I know by experience. The first day I worked here, right here, 9 stitches in the back of my head. Very embarrassing for my first day at work. No, that's actually above us. Were you here before? Yeah, that's up right above us. We'll see that on the way out. All right, squeeze together just a little bit. This year, because of all this BS, we're only 15 or 16 people. Last year, right now, this tour would be roughly like 35 people. And for some reason, we all fit in here, and I don't know how. I wondered that this year. I said, wait a minute, 15 of us barely fit in here. All right, smallest room in the cave, the storage room. When the farmers first discovered the cave, they thought, you know what, it's cool and damp in here, perfect place to keep our crops. So they would store their vegetables along the wall here. Now back then we were actually down at that level. So this room was much bigger. Well, it turns out that the crops and cave mold do not get along. They actually spoil 4 times faster than normal. So they stopped storing them in here. However, they left a few remnants behind. You can see the beans are moldy and huge. Tobacco leaves really don't look too bad. Giant carrot that for some reason got so big and turned from orange to white and green. Now something that likes mold is mushrooms. Look how big this portobello mushroom got. This is the world's largest portobello mushroom right here. And for some reason, they stored their bacon in here. Here's our slab of cave bacon. Now this formation here is known as drapery. Very unusual for drapery to grow in a big cluster like that. Normally, it grows in a single strand, right here, like our ribbon candy. The red light. The cave is roughly 4 times bigger than what we can see because of all of these side passages. Of course, this one we can see. This one ends right about here, goes all the way back, actually comes out in the basement underneath the video room. So we could actually crawl down there, crawl out, open the door in the basement, and get out. The room is protected by our cave angel or our cave eagle, depending on which one you see. Back of the head, back of the wings. Wish light. Watch your head.
Пол достаточно скользкий, потому что влажный. Температура 54 градуса по Фаренгейту. Это где-то примерно 11 по Цельсию. Ну, в общем, достаточно прохладно. Иногда в таких вот больших залах пещер ставят, например, орган.
Alright, we went from the smallest room in the cave to the largest room in the cave. Now this room is called the Crystal Ballroom for two reasons. Before that, this rock right here, and this rock up here, this is the ceiling in the storage room. These are called drop rocks. They fell from the ceiling about 500,000 years ago during a massive earthquake. We'll talk more about the earthquake. Later on, we'll actually be walking on top of these rocks, and you get a good look where they fell from up there on the ceiling. Now, this is part of the drop rock, but this we call profile rock. There's two faces in this rock. One, headdress, eye, nose, mouth, and chin. This is supposed to be our Native American Indian chief.
Действительно, реально.
That was pretty easy. Next one's a little harder. Hair, eyes, nose, mouth, and chin. Now, this is supposed to be one of our past presidents. Who is it? Abe Lincoln. Very good. Believe it or not, on school groups, more of the children see that than their teachers. Scary thought. Abe Lincoln. Crystal Ballroom. When they first came in here, the farmers saw these little crystals. One nice thing about having to wear gloves, I can actually touch. They saw these little crystals, and they said to each other, "We're rich. These are diamonds."
Oh no.
Girl's best friend broke a piece off. Right here is actually the piece they broke off. Took it to a local jeweler. Now the jeweler stuck the rock underwater to clean it off so he could get a better look. When he brought it out, the crystals were gone. As soon as he saw that, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, they were calcite crystals, worth about as much as common table salt." Cheapest thing in a grocery store, even though nothing's cheap in a grocery store right now. Then they saw these big crystals. Now come on, it has to be a giant cluster of diamond. Has to be. For some reason they had diamond on the brains. Broke a piece off, same jeweler, same answer, table salt. Now these are aragonite crystals. The difference between the two, aragonite crystals only grow underwater. One of the reasons we know this cave was flooded for millions of years before the hill started to rise up and drain out. The ballroom, where you bought your ticket. That part of the building was finished in 1876 and was used as a hotel for people coming to tour the cave. Back then, you had to come by train and horse and buggy. It took a long time to get here. Back then, a typical tour was 9 hours long. So that took up a whole day. So they would spend the night. Now back then, of course, no air conditioning. There's no kids here, so I won't stress no TV. Mostly adults, they would come in here at night and have dances. Right there, behind the troublemaker. They used to set up a band. Back then, there's wooden planks. And yes, we can lay claim to having the original rock band. Oh, it's gonna get worse. They're gonna get worse. What do you think the name of the band was? Rolling. Rolling Stones. Very good. Very good. Now over here, they used to have a small wooden concession stand built. And they would serve beverages and snacks to the people coming in here for the dances. And also for the weddings and baptisms that we had in this room.
All the drinks are on the rocks.
You didn't give me a chance!
Very good.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
And all the drinks were on the rocks.
Very good. But now they also served a beer. In a little green bottle.
Rolling Rock.
That stuff is terrible, but you are correct. Oh, that's... So does my wife. It's just because now she drinks this Porsche Rocker for $40-some a case. We won't go there.
I did too.
All right, one more, and it's pretty bad. I know you're gonna like it. The 3 weddings and 3 baptisms we had in this room. First wedding, 1919. The bride-to-be, Marion Kurtz, insisted on having a piano hauled in here for one song in the wedding march. One song. They paid only 4 men to haul a piano up that lovely hill. In this way, sideways. And set it up over here where the band normally played. Now the song, the wedding march, is 5 minutes and 56 seconds long. At which time they hold the piano out of here. Not a good place for a piano, is it? With this moisture, no. Now those 4 men didn't get paid well. They each made a whopping 25 cents. Nowadays it's still only $7.50. Nowhere near enough. Oh, and by the way, it was a full-size grand piano, 1,000 pounds worth. I don't know how they did it. No clue. Second wedding, 1988. I'm deciding who to pick on. I'm gonna pick on you two. 2 tour guides fell in love. They asked the owner, their boss, if they could get married in here. And the owner said no. We don't know why. That owner is no longer here. I don't know if it was he or she. They're gone. He had the key for the door. Grabbed their minister and all their friends, snuck in here in the middle of the night and got married. You had a great old time. Only problem is when you left, the owner was sitting out there on one of the benches and fired them both on the spot. Only a year and a half later, they got a divorce. Come on. I guess you could say they had a...
Rocky Mountain.
You're good. You could be a tour guide. Right there. Are you close enough? Yeah.
Marriage on the rock.
Marriage is on the rock. Same thing. Not here. Only at the back. I gotta split you guys apart. Last wedding, 1993. We know very little about that wedding for some reason. We are told it happened on October 31st at the stroke of midnight. That's about all we know. Why? That's all we know. 93. That's not that long ago, but that's all we know. We're 125 feet below the surface right here. It's 54 degrees in this room. 365 days a year, it's 54 degrees in this room. A little cooler down there because that drops down about 30 feet. A little warmer at the back of the cave because we're going to be a lot higher. That red light right there. This is Devil's Den, and this is where our bats used to live. Used to fly in and out of that opening, out to those vents, eat the mosquitoes at night, and come back in before daylight. There's actually a room back there. That's what they used to hang from the ceiling. The earthquake. They believe the earthquake was roughly like a 9.0. I mean, that's a ridiculous earthquake, especially for the East Coast. right? Even California never gets a 9.0. 2011, there was a 2.9 centered in Washington, D.C. Felt up and down the East Coast here. I live about 10 miles north of here, and I felt it at home. At the time of that earthquake, there was actually 4 tours in the cave. They felt nothing. They had no idea there was an earthquake until they left. Everybody was driving around checking for damage. So it is normally a safe place to be during, should I say, a normal East Coast earthquake. We're going upstairs. At the top of these steps, you're going to see another witch light and a big yellow sign. Well, big yellow sign. Watch your head.
Любая пещера — это какое-то совершенно непонятное такое ощущение, как будто ты находишься в другом мире.
You are allergic to cave mold, just like I am. I can tell. Cave mold is nasty stuff.
I'm sorry. Под ногами спиленные сталагмиты. Многие бросают монетки или даже купюры, чтобы вернуться.
That's fine. That's fine. And when we move on, you just come up that way. No problem at all. Believe me, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have to. Oh, 211.
Oh, wow.
All the concrete was mixed outside and carried in 5-gallon buckets. It took them like 10 years. Late 30s, early 40s. This formation back here, this is known as a column. A column forms as the stalactite and the stalagmite finally meet in the middle. This is our totem pole. Looks like there's a bunch of faces carved in it, looking back at us. All right, young lady, don't turn around and look at me. Back up just a little bit. Perfect. Don't move. Right here. Right here, this little puddle of water. As of right now, this is the largest body of water in the cave. It's only about 3.5 quarts. The importance of this water is this is the water they used for the baptisms down in the ballroom. Now we are told when they first discovered the cave and they first started doing touring, down below us, which is actually the way they were walking back then. We were not up here until the early 40s. We're told there was a stream flowing through there. And in that stream there was little fish. And the little fish had no eyes. If it's pitch black all the time, what do you need eyes for, right? You don't. It's fully dried up about 100 years ago. Now, this guy right here, Sandcastle Rock. It is just a stalagmite, but if you notice, it is not shiny and wet like the rest of the stalagmites. There is no stalactite above it feeding it. This is a dead formation. They believe here, during that earthquake, they believe this rock shifted right here. They believe it used to be roughly here underneath this broken off stalactite. This is slowly becoming hollow from the inside out. One day we'll come in here and it will be laying on the floor. Speaking of the floor, these are our fried eggs to go along with our cave bacon. This is the one formation in the cave that you are allowed to touch. And you will know what every formation in the cave feels like. Basically a slimy wet rock.
Do it.
It's a slime.
It's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad because it's afternoon. First thing, they're pretty slippery. And this is actually the way all stalagmites grow, with that inner core, the yolk. All right, now we're going to go down some steps and across a bridge. Two things. They're made out of steel. Can be a little slippery. Again, not too bad in the afternoon. The railings are actually worse than the steps. The bridge is 10 feet long. That 10 feet of bridge loves to swallow cell phones. So make sure you hold on to them. They lose more cell phones in that 10 feet stretch than anywhere else in the cave. If you look right here, this little stalactite is what we call our lion's tail. It is just a stalactite that is growing with a funny formation of what they call helictite, and everything's calcium. They just have all these fancy names. There is one more of these in the United States, in Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. Now we have something they don't. We'll talk about that once we're down here in the Crystal Cave Zoo. Right here. This formation we call Prairie Dog Island. Looks like a bunch of prairie dogs sitting outside their holes looking down at us. They're overlooking this giant rock, which is also a drop rock. Get rid of the formation, because that was not here 500,000 years ago. Pick up this rock. Perfect fit up here in Cathedral Dome. Now, back there, I told you where the stream used to be, that's the way we were walking. So we were not up here either. We were crawling down there. Told you typical tour took roughly 9 hours. Right now we're about 5 to 6 hours in the tour, depending on how fast people were crawling up and down the rocks. You were all given candles and some spare matches. I, as a tour guide, had a kerosene lantern. Well, your candles lasted roughly 4 hours, which was back at the ballroom. When you went to light your next candle, you found out your spare matches were soaked. Come on, you spent 4 hours crawling in the mud. So right now, about the only light left is the kerosene lantern of the tour guide. I'm going to give you an idea what that was like. But I'm turning out the lights. So can you imagine doing that with roughly this much light?
With the bats flying around?
Nowhere near. Well, back then the bats were flying throughout the cave. I couldn't imagine that. You're all tied together with a rope around your waist for safety reasons. That's Lookout Point. Back then, to get to Lookout Point, you climbed up a 40-foot ladder right there. Climbed up and down this rock ledge. All tied together with just this much light. Every once in a while, somebody would slip. Everybody had to grab a hold of the rope, including the tour guide. Well, I'm the tour guide, my hands are full. I had to get rid of something. Just think of that. That actually happened on a few occasions. We're going up to Lookout Point. Anybody that does not want to go up can stand here and we'll meet you on the way back down. Everybody that's going up, yeah, I know you're going up. Go ahead up.
Is there anything past here?
No, that's it. And you'll be able to hear me, believe it. No problem. Well, actually there is. We have to crawl through an opening about this big. Actually, and I won't. Yeah, when you're in that corner, you just look down that ledge. Just imagine crawling up there with that little bit of light. Yeah, so I was just thinking. Yeah. No, I passed.
Это что за...
Зеленые водоросли. Мох какой-то.
Нет, это что за палка?
Палка-палка.
All right, we are now at Lookout Point, highest point of the cave. We're only about 60 feet from the surface here. Little warmer, about 56 degrees. You can see about 2/3 of the cave. You get a real good look at Cathedral Dome right there, where that drop rock fell. You can see we cannot go any further because there is no further. Now, actually, directly behind those rocks, they did find a shaft that heads to the ceiling. It's about 30 feet. They believe one day the other 30 feet will collapse and we'll actually have two openings. Right on the other side of the hill from here is another farm that actually has 3 similar caves in it. They want nobody in there, so they have it blocked off. Now, right above your head, This is the cave nursery. These are the babies of the cave. They're only 50 to 100 years old. So when the cave was first discovered, they were not here yet. Now it's said to be good luck. If it drips on your head right there, it's supposed to be 1 year good luck. If it drips on your nose, you don't have your mask on right, but that's supposed to be 10 years good luck. Now, if it drips anywhere else, you're getting wet. I think this is my favorite part of the cave right here.
Yeah. Get to see everything.
I really wish I could turn the lights off up here, but I can't. All right, we're going to head down to the zoo. Please come down my side and make sure you hold on to the railing. Come on down, lady.
Not scream over.
Yeah, from the side,
Like
okay.
somebody screaming.
Now you're not going to have to look at that next time. Which will be in about half an hour. Oh, an hour. All right, we're in the Crystal Cave Zoo. Right here. Sally Cecile.
Yeah. There's a picture of that.
Chucky, the only three-humped camel in the world, right there. Bucky the beaver. Now Bucky thinks he's the boss of the cave. He's wrong. Speedy, the three-legged turtle.
Oh, yeah.
And his ex-friend that made him a three-legged turtle. And he's been hiding his head in shame ever since. The little alligator. He was a bad boy. The true boss of the cave. I told you the lion's tail. We have something that Carlsbad does not, because directly above the lion's tail, we have the true boss, Leo the lion.
Oh, yeah.
Now, a few days after the cave was discovered, two young men from Kutztown, about 6 miles down over the hill, came up here on one horse, crawled in here with just candles. This is about 450 feet from the entrance, with just candles. The cave was only discovered like 3 days earlier. They crawled all the way back here and they scratched their names in this flowstone. C.W. Snyder, L.D. Sanders. Charlie Snyder was 19. Lewis Sanders was only, you want my light or not?
It's good.
Okay. Lewis Sanders was only 13. Below it, 1871, below that, the word chest. Now, we're not too sure about the word chest. They believe it was actually the name of their horse. Could have been short for Chester or Chestnut. Everybody names their horse. In 1871, a horse was a family member. Everybody named a horse back then. This is slowly disappearing as this flowstone continues to build up. One day we will not be able to see it. Last year, we had a school group and a young teacher. His name was Charles William Snyder III. Never saw it before. He was there crying. He really was. All right, let's move on to the wishing well. Now, when I first started doing the tours, right now you know roughly how much light there was. Almost none. We're told an energetic guy climbed down there where that dollar bill was sitting. He stuck a couple pennies up there.
Все электричество в пещере обеспечивают вот эти вот два щита.
He would refund their tour money, which back then was 25 cents. Well, you know how much light there was. Nobody could find it. So we're told one day a family who was here the week before said, we're going to fix this guy. Found it. Pretty soon everybody's throwing money down there, so they put a barrel in there and made it a wishing well. End of the season, they clean out that money and send it to a local charity. Last year I was involved in that. We counted change for 1 full month. That barrel was about 2/3 full of change.
How much did you collect?
I never asked. It was really none of my business. Yeah. Now, supposedly there really is a coin shortage because I've never seen this many dollar bills here. And 20s. And there's a 50 down there somewhere.
Wow. The shelter target. Really?
Yeah, I know they changed the charity every year. At one time it was a children's home in Topton, where the Topton Lutheran home is, and they move it around every year. Now, if you're going to make a wish, you cannot tell anybody what your wish is or it will not come true. All right, as we go down, please stay on the left side and right where I'm here, watch your head.
They thought these sparkles on the wall were going to make them rich. These are crystals too, they're calcite crystals. So the farmers broke some off, took them into nearby Kацtaun, trying to sell them. They had no luck. They discovered that calcite crystals are barely worth more than salt. They weren't able to get rich. They were so disappointed they ended up selling their cave, plus 125 acres surrounding for $5,000 in 1871. Yeah, it wasn't good, a decent amount of money back then, but the man who bought it, Samuel Kohler, he opened it to the public for tourism, built a hotel at the bottom, he started making loads of money. There's no duplicate, like, you can't complicate it, let's do it. Now, there's another kind of crystal, these ones. You have to do that.
All right, we are now above the drop rocks that we were underneath earlier in the tour. Very easy to see where they fell from and the reasons they fell with all these cracks and fault lines in this area. Giant stalactite, we call this our corn cob. About 5 feet long, weighs about 600 pounds. My buddy Jack Frost. Now, the story of Jack Frost is, of course, when he breathes frost. Look around his nose, mouth, and chin and up in the ceiling. It actually does look like frost. Unscientific reason why it's always 54 degrees in the cave. As we go up the steps, please stay on the left side. Anybody with glasses on, they might fog up. Not too bad today, but when it's humid, right now there, you would see a fog bank right there. Yeah, they're gonna fog up just a little bit. Not too bad.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Sure.
Вот и закончилась эта необычная подземная и англоязычная экскурсия, совершенно неожиданная. Длинная, я ее снимал одним кадром. И мне кажется, что это подчеркивает лишний раз, что любые темные подземелья обязательно заканчиваются. И все будет хорошо. С вами был Саша Осташко из хрустальной пещеры, город Кацтаун, Пенсильвания. До свидания.